Today's video, I'm going to be installing a drop ceiling in my garage. I am going to be installing this T-bar ceiling for a couple reasons, mainly to make the appearance more aesthetically pleasing, as well as giving me the ability to put in new light fixtures that I want to put in to light the space better. That will be more videos separate. We'll be doing the lighting and the electrical that has to change. I've picked up all the material I need to do my drop ceiling out here. I have my various metal components of the drop ceiling that will be needed for the installation. I have the drop ceiling tiles over here and some other tools and parts that will be needed. Now, this drop ceiling is going to do this front side of the building, which is around, I want to say 16 feet from right there where it's going to stop to this side over here. And we are at about 12 feet from right here to over there. It's less right here, probably about 9.5 feet. And over here, we've got this kind of wonky section here where it's the full width of the building, which is 14 feet from there to there. So it's going to be a little skinny bit of the ceiling here, but I'm going to do some different type of lights there to help tie it all in and not look like just a strange ceiling bit. I have planned this all out and laid it all out on paper a few months back, and there are definitely some obstacles that we will have to avoid. One of those being the garage door opener is something we have to go around. This exit sign will be removed, and we have to go around these garage door tracks, as well as the sprinkler heads that are in this building have pretty well set the height that the ceiling needs to be to properly have the metal surround of the sprinkler sit into it properly, whatever you call that piece. You can see there is a lot of obstacles in this corner, so I'm probably going to leave this corner missing a slight amount. We can look at what we've got here. I have for material 2 12-foot main beam pieces, and I believe there is 11 8-foot main beam pieces. 4 in there, 7 in there. I only need, I believe, 10. One's extra. And I have 7 of these 4-foot sections. Also an extra, I only need 6. And then I have our L-bar, which is what goes around the edge of everything, as well as 35 of these 2-foot sections of T-bar. These are really lightweight. They're not nearly as stout as the main beam sections. They're much thinner. So 35 of those. Probably should have got an extra one. I have... Oh, I just saw that at the store and couldn't help myself. Wanted a new knife because my other one is too camouflaged, so I could lose it, you know. That's a Milwaukee one. Had to pick one up. This is the bit that installs what we'll take a look at next. That is what you put on your impact driver or drill, and allows you to drill in the wire hangers. These will thread right into the wood, which then allows you from there, not that, there it is, put your wire on. This is only 18 gauge. Typically the ceilings that I've always worked in use 12 gauge, but this stuff seems like it'd probably be a lot easier to bend. And I don't think I really need the 12 gauge. It just sounds like more of a pain to put in. I have the rivets that rivet everything together. 2 packs of those. We'll see if I need them all. And I had to buy a rivet gun for it. Unfortunately, I couldn't buy a red one, so I had to buy this DeWalt one. So I'll probably just have to return it once I'm done, because I can't be seen with a DeWalt. No, I'm just kidding. DeWalt makes good stuff, too. I mean, not as good as Milwaukee, but, you know. And then I have the punch for the rivets to go into. And that's it. Oh, the tiles. I'm sure I mentioned that. The tiles. Boxes of tiles. The lighting hasn't arrived yet. The lighting is going to be a wonky thing because I want dimmable, but the flat panel LEDs only come in 0 to 10 volt dimming, so I had to buy some unusual setup. Don't worry about that for now. We're not there yet. So we're going to start with this ceiling project. So here's one last look of what it looks like pre-drop ceiling installation. Should also mention I'm not doing this back area. I did paint the ceiling white to try and make it look better. It didn't really work. It made it look slightly better. I painted this one white and this one actually turned out looking better. Plus, if I was to do a drop ceiling, I'd have to move my projector. And I don't want to move my projector because I finally got it set up right. I ain't touching that thing ever again if I don't have to. I swear to God, if there's an earthquake, shakes my projector, I'm gonna be pissed. I think my weapon of choice for cutting is going to probably be a Sawzall. I thought about using an angle grinder, but it kind of makes more of a mess and stinks it up. So I think a Sawzall with a metal cutting blade like what is already on it there should work well. I know I'm going to get asked, the cost of this so far was $1,100 in drop ceiling material. Somehow I calculated 480, so how on earth it became 1,100, I have no idea. And it's bullcrap, but it happened. And it was really a traumatic experience at the till, watching that price just keep coming up. I was like, what the heck? Where did my $480 go? That one, well, like doubled, and then some. I don't know how I came up with $480. That was a pathetic calculation, however that happened. Not to mention other freaking $600 in lights, but yeah, I don't know. I'm losing my mind. Anyways, now I'm in debt, but well, the paycheck's not for a while. Yeah, I'm screwed. Well, yeah, I am screwed. I don't know what to do.
I declare bankruptcy!
You guys send me money or make me money on this video because like Nick just screwed himself with the ceiling project. Anyways, let's start. Idea how you do this. This is not an instructional video. I've never done it before. We are going to start with the L-bar around the edges. L-bar! I'm going to install the bottom lip of the L-bar, the horizontal piece, right at 4.5 inches. Alrighty guys, I'm going to do a voiceover here because this time-lapse doesn't have audio. I gotta say, I don't have a script for this or anything, and I don't feel like putting a whole lot of effort into it. So this is going to be just a voiceover as what comes to my mind. I'm going to say whatever I think about right here. I do want to say though that this is the hardest part, is setting all of this up at the right height. I think once you have the L-bar mounted, it goes a lot easier and faster from there. This was a significant amount of time in the project of just installing this and making sure it gets all level, because if you screw up this, everything else is screwed up. This is what sets the height of the entire ceiling, so it's quite important that you get this done right. Also, there's a lot of obstacles around the exterior of this project, or the exterior, the outside of this ceiling. Things like power to that emergency light, for example, had to be cut around. Some things are easier to tuck behind the L-bar if it's thin, but some things aren't. Something else is I was kind of under the impression that the L-bar had to be quite strong, not really thinking about how the rest of the ceiling was supported, because I put in pretty few screws, probably only a screw per every maybe 2 feet, which I thought, my thoughts were is that was just going to be temporary, and I was going to come back once I made sure everything was in the exact position and add more screws. However, I found once I actually put the ceiling up and didn't add more screws, it was completely fine because the main beam is supported from those ties to the ceiling. For the L-bar, it is a slow process, like I talked about. However, the bigger open walls like this one go much faster. This one was still slightly slow because I had some wires, one going down to that window alarm contact and a door contact and the access control power and communication to the door all had to be taken care of in some way, which for this, because those wires were all under a 1/4 inch in thickness, it was easier just to cut sort of a slice into the wall, kind of go at an angle on either side with the oscillating saw, and make a little groove in the wall for it to sit into behind the L-bar. That's just what I found worked well for that.
Okay guys, that kind of has the first stage done as far as doing the L-bar all around. As you see, I didn't bother with this corner completely because I'm not sure what's going on. There's a couple pieces of pipe we had to go around, but for the most part it is, yeah, it's pretty well all entirely up. Back to the other side. There you have it.
Next step is for me to figure out how I'm laying everything out. So I gotta spend some time looking at my plans because
I need a 5-inch gap on this side and 5-inch gap on that side. And everything should space out then every 24. However, I can't be too sure about that.
right now I'm measuring out for my main beam that will run exactly parallel with the garage door wall, just 8 feet out from it. That is the end that was cut specific to that wall, because this one, obviously, it's not going all the way to that wall as it's ending on this wall, not that one more recessed. So the specific cut edge to the first slot needs to be on your guys' right side. It actually fits. I don't know where I'm supposed to put it. I think right there. I'm going to measure it before I start riveting anything in. Let's try out this rivet punch thing. Yeah, I don't know about this thing, if it's going to do it. Well, crap, that actually went through. I have a few layers right there, which maybe I'm not supposed to, but I think I'm just going to go with it. Okay, it looks like crap and I got a rivet in. Alright, I found exactly where the other side needs to go, so now I will punch that hole.
Not sure which way you're supposed to actually put this thing. I feel like maybe this way could be the better way. That way it leaves a lot less of a mark, and it seems to just work better that way all around pretty much. Oh yeah, that's definitely the way to do it. Oh yeah, that looks so much better. I'm going to start working my way from that side back, but something I want to point out is on these pieces, they are 8 feet end to end. That 8 feet is not including this bit, which is... So I'm going to be cutting the ends off of this first one. The Sawzall seems to make an okay job out of doing it. Maybe not. Okay. Don't worry, safety squint was engaged. You don't need to see what you're doing. That's what memory's for. You remember where it's supposed to be cut. Now I'm gonna mark 4.5 down that piece of L-bar and down that piece. Starting to think maybe none of those slots are gonna line up and I'm gonna have to rivet every single one of them.
Let me say that in voiceover form instead of text. Maybe I can say it a little bit better. Is what I was thinking is this main beam I'm installing now, parallel to the wall with the door in it. I was thinking they could poke into the slots in the main beam that I first installed. However, main beams don't slide into main beams.
I find this riveting process actually kind of enjoyable. It's kind of fun putting the rivets in. I don't know why, it's just kind of satisfying to do. I think once you get started with this, from what I can tell so far, once you have your layout going, it seems to start getting easier and going a lot quicker. That rivet hole making tool, the thing that makes the holes for the rivets, is surprising how well it cuts. Still can't believe I'm using a DeWalt riveter. I think Milwaukee actually makes like an M12 one. Does work pretty good though, I gotta say.
Something I didn't do here, which I wish I would have known because it would have sped things up, instead of measuring every single main beam apart, just start sticking in your 2-foot T-bar sections, the non-main beam ones, and then that will space your main beams apart right at 24 anyways, so you're basically doing the work you're going to have to do later anyways, but it also doubles as a measurement. This next one, not this one that I'm riveting right now, but the one I'm going to do in the next clip as it flips over in 3, 2, 1. This one was a little bit of work, as not really difficult, just different, as I had to cut a notch out for it to go around the garage door track holding metal contraption up there. Can't think of a better word for it right now. I could have avoided it, but it would have made me have to change the whole rest of the layout. This final main beam that I'm going to cut for this first phase, I'm going to call it, of the project, this one had to be cut a little bit shorter because I'll pinch in here in a second once I get my head out of the way. I'm just measuring it right now because I had to add in another T-bar piece going the opposite direction of these ones because I didn't want to have to put in L-bar around all of that stuff I have above the fire alarm system. Well, it turns out I'm not getting out of the way, so I'm going to pinch in right here. So there you can see that piece that I'm measuring to cut this main beam slightly shorter. I've been keeping them all going the same way. One end of them has this big notch on it, so I've been putting those all at this end. And for this one, I cut that end first because that's where I'm taking my measurement from, because this part will be not here on this one, but the rest of it will it'll still be going the same direction, if that makes sense. Keep saying if that makes sense because I'm crap at explaining stuff. Okay, slight change of plans. I can't go exactly 24. This first row kind of is going to be exactly the opposite of what I just explained, because it turns out when you cut these down, like I cut one, the tabs off, you have pretty much nothing to rivet it into. So you pretty much have to use these snaps. So thankfully I did the smart thing and made these all the same. Made them all going the same direction, like lined all the same ends up so it all works. So the first ones are going to just be slightly less, and then from there it's 6, 12, 18, 24. These simply just snap in. There you go, that end snapped in. Over here, a little tricky to do with one hand, snapped in. So these just snap in very easily. This one, I'm not putting one there. It'll be at 4 feet and then one of those 4-footers because I'm gonna have a light panel there. Okay, let's keep going. As I was just saying, the process of putting in these connecting pieces that go between the main beams is very simple. If it's all laid out the same, as long as your main beams all are starting from the same spot, which is why I made sure I put the one end of them all the same way to make sure they all lined up. They may have anyways, it was just sort of something I wasn't sure about, so I was just doing as a precaution. Either way, they go in very simply. These pieces here go between my furthest main beam and the L-bar on the wall. So these each had to get riveted in. These actually took some time to cut these all down and rivet every single one of these in. I now have to do this on the other side as well. My 4.5-inch pieces that go between the last main beam and the L-bar. It's a pretty easy process, just takes a while, it's just kind of tedious, but it's, once you get in the hang of it and have a bunch cut, they go in okay, it just takes a while. Those short little guys are now in on this side, so now is what has to happen is we have to get it ready for our light fixture. It's a 1x4 foot light fixture. That's 4 feet right there. Basically this whole opening is 2 feet by
4 feet right now, which is bigger than the light fixtures I have bought. The reason for that is, oh, there was a reason. I can't remember what that reason is though. There was a, oh right, that garage door opener or something. Something was going to be in the way of something, but now I'm not seeing it. I don't know. There was a thought process. Trust me. Or don't. I wouldn't. We need it down to 4 feet by 1 foot. So is what we have to do is, you can see this gap here. Ignore that light fixture that's just sitting there. We need a 4 foot piece to go from the center of this to the center of that, and then I'll need one 1 foot piece to go basically right to there. Hopefully that makes enough senses. All right, I didn't really think this out well too, because this is another one where it's meant to clip into something like this, but there aren't any, so I had to take some of that L-bar, and it's still sitting on there fine. It just didn't have enough to rivet into, so it's on there fine. And this piece will go between here and there, clip in, and we can see it right through there where we can rivet that guy in. Okay, I have both of these lights set up, and I do now realize I'm kind of doing this all completely wrong. Like the way that I've got this attached, like I think I should have gone main beams all the way down instead of putting one in the middle. Not really sure what I was thinking there. Because I could have. I'm not sure why I didn't think I could have. I guess because this one here, maybe that was my concern. I can't remember, but if I was to do this again and start over, I would have done things differently, because I've kind of got this all screwed up here. But I got to keep going with it now. It's kind of too late to change. So, yeah, here we are. Okay, so that's pretty much all we need to do over here for now until we start actually putting in our tie wire. So let's start working on this side, which I need a main beam to run across from there all the way to over there, which is 160 inches. So I need to put 2 main beam sections together, which is pretty much what I think I should have been doing the whole time, just going all the way over this way. So, yeah, I'm an idiot. So I'll put this offcut from another one together with this one here. That's 160 right there. Okay guys, I've got this main beam hung up across here, and I have it supported. If you look down it, it is quite level, I would say. So this is supported every couple feet by the hangers. I may add some more. They're probably not perfect, but I will add some more after, and hopefully once everything's tied in, this should be pretty good. So now we need to run our main beams from that main beam over to this main beam. Doing these main beams was no different than the first set of main beams we did on what I was calling the first phase at the start, other than these ones had to get cut down slightly, and I started using my method of using the other beams as a measurement tool. So first I started at this end that's got the nub, and I cut the thing down to the first slot to slide a cross piece in. That way my very next one will end right at 24 inches. So because I didn't have the capability of really doing that on the first,
section, the first main beam section I did, but this one I do since the whole thing's getting cut shorter. So first I cut the whole thing right here basically. And then I measure down 78 3/4. $78 3/4. I can compare it to another one if I want, just to double check. Yes, there we go. Okay, and then at the ceiling, I'll show you the system I've gotten into. Well, this is a bad example actually because you can't see it, but you can see the other ones. I put them up to align with that one. I will do the same for this one. Put it up there, and I'll get it roughly in place. I can tell that's going to be where it goes by putting it next to those things. That one will end up right about there. I'll rivet the one end in that I know exactly where it's going to go, which would be right down there. Punch our rivet hole. Put our rivet in. Rivet. And then over here at this end, I found, instead of measuring it and then marking it out and riveting it in place, it's easier just to take our 2-foot long section, pop it in, and then snap the other end in. This was a slightly trickier section over here of managing with this corner to keep my 20, because my 24-inch didn't line up right on the corner. It was like an inch past the corner, so that tile will have to be cut kind of like a funky L shape. It's no big deal, it just takes a little bit more time and a little bit more measuring to make sure you don't screw anything up. Okay, this is where we're at. I've had a debate with myself because I can't decide right here because I have this small gap right there and I can't decide if I keep going or if I just end it there because it kind of ends with the wall. And since it also saves me work and I think it would look, I don't know, I can't decide. I think I'm going to leave it for now. I can always come back and add in more T-bar after. But in the meantime, I'm going to start drilling in all the rest of these guys into the ceiling. So I'm going to go down each row at a time and go into the joists. This main beam that runs this way isn't going to get any, but it's kind of supported by all the other main beams, so I think if they have it, it'll all be okay. So I'll do another time lapse of that since I like time lapses. Alright, here's that time lapse of drilling in all of those. The drilling in process of them goes pretty quick. This is probably one of the easiest parts of the job, is drilling in all of these ones. If you did have a metal ceiling, they make self-tapping versions of these where they're meant to drill into, say, a Q deck. It would probably be the most likely scenario for a drop ceiling with metal above. Halfway through with this thing, and be careful when you're using this on an impact driver, because this thing completely split open on me. So I'm using it on just a drill, so maybe that will give it less harsh torque.
And I'm going to finish it off with the drill, but yeah.
Now this is the process of doing the tie wire, which I'm very glad I went with the 18 gauge and not the 12 gauge, as the 12 gauge would be significantly tougher to bend. I don't have much load on this ceiling, it's just some LED flat panel lights, no heavy HVAC vents or anything that are going to place a lot of weight on this ceiling, so it shouldn't be that heavy of a ceiling overall. Now I am working on this last light fixture opening, or maybe second to last light fixture opening that had to be built in for the 1x4 flat panel LED light fixture. I think I've said that several times of what's going in.
Okay, that I think officially has the T-bar done. I just finished up making our opening for this last light fixture right here. So that, as far as I know, is all the T-bar done. Something else I need to say is I returned those last tiles because I didn't realize it, and I guess I didn't think about it, that they were the tiles that don't have just flat edges. They're like beveled. They have like a little notch out of them to actually sit below the T-bar, like it sits in the frame and partially out of it, if that makes any sense. Which means for every piece along the edge that I have to cut, I have to take a knife and make my own channel in it, and then it wouldn't be white because it's been cut open. So it was going to be a huge pain, and there's no way I would have done that. However, I couldn't get any 2x2 tiles that were just flat edges like that. So I had to go buy 2x4 tiles. This is less than I had before of the tiles, but I can go get more if I need some. So I drove over and returned those ones, and then tried to get one from Home Depot where I got the rest of the stuff. Couldn't, so then I had to drive over to Lowe's, and I picked this up from Lowe's. Yeah, I'm good now, I think, other than I have to cut every single one of these in half and then put them in the ceiling, and whatever can't just go in the ceiling naturally will have to get trimmed down. For example, this whole edge and every other odd shaped tile, like say these little half tiles, well, quarter tiles as far as a 2x4 foot one goes, but half tiles for 2x2s, so that'll be some work still. The exit sign I think will have to go because I think it will collide with the garage door. I've checked our sprinkler heads and they are pretty good. I'm not bad enough that I'm willing to change anything, but they're slightly off, but yeah, you guys will see eventually. Smokey will have to get extended down to a box to sit in the tile, and the motion detector will have to get extended down. The camera will need to get something done to it. And what else needs to come down? Well, that's probably about it. Oh, that camera over there as well. Okay, I need to give an update because I've done a whole bunch of work off camera for a few reasons. One, because I don't really know what I'm doing here, so I'm going really slow, and it would have to be time-lapse, which I don't want too many time-lapses, because I can't do normal video because I like to listen to music. I work way better if I got music on. So I've got a bunch of tiles in, as you can see. Pretty much all the ones I don't have to make a hole in, for the exception of these two. Well, that one needed a little hole in it. That one I had to punch a hole through to move the motion sensor. And then these ones required a little bit of work to get around the garage door. They're not perfect, but it is what it is. So I can't put in this tile because I still need access to the electrical, and what's the point of putting it in if I got to take it back out and mark it up more with my hands. Need access for the electrical for that one. Need access because I need to take down this exit sign because it's obviously that won't work, so it needs to be pulled down. But if it's lower, the garage door will hit it. It's only got 2 inches of clearance right now, and the ceiling got dropped by 4.5, so that obviously won't work. This one needs a box put in it for a smoky. You can't just poke the wires through like the non-life safety stuff. That needs a box like real electrical. So that needs a box. It also needs a hole for the sprinklerosis. So once we drop the sprinklerosis down there through it, that'll be all good. By the way, don't punch the sprinkler heads. It really hurts when you catch that skin where skin meets your fingernail, and you jab your hands into that little metal part at the bottom, and it pulls the skin back off your nails. It doesn't feel great, so don't do that. I don't know how I knew that. I don't know where that one came from, that lesson. Also another sprinkler head right there, so that tile needs to be cut a hole in it. This one is probably my next one to do. I just need to move that camera. The other camera, I don't know if you can see it, but it got tucked up there, so I gotta pull that down and change something up there. And this tile, I kind of need access to electrical, not really. Oh, that one can go in. I don't know what's going on there yet, how I'm gonna run the electrical. Each one of these, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, are each getting pot lights in them. So there's no sense of doing that until I get the drivers mounted up there and the Lumex ran. So, yeah, that's my little update of explaining where we are at right now. I can poke you guys up there. Not that there's a whole lot to see. There's our sprinkler pipes running around. So, yeah, that's where we're at. Used up 1 box and 2 tiles of a second box. So I think the 2 boxes of tiles is going to be plenty to get this job done. So it'll be 2 more for there, 2 more. So that's 1, 2 tiles. Let's say 3, and that will do that one too. 4, 5, 6. Oh, we might have the perfect amount of time. Oh, crap. There's that one over there. Well, in that case, I'm just stealing one from my class at school. If I only need 1 tile, I'm going in and I'm just taking one. So they're the exact same tiles. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, there probably is a spare laying around, honestly. They wouldn't know if I just took one from a classroom, too. There's always tiles missing. No, I'm just kidding. Or am I? I don't know yet. I haven't decided if I'm kidding or not yet. That does sound like a good idea. Okay, I don't have anything else to say here. I really want to get this tile in right here because it's kind of bugging me because it's like all this rest of this area is pretty well done. But I need that smoke detector relocated first. I don't want to put the smoke detector too close in proximity to the sprinkler. And I don't want to put it off to that side really because then it just looks goofy, I feel like. So I want to put it in this tile. So I'm going to dead center it in this ceiling tile right here. This is my favorite way to find the center of a tile. There you go. X marks the spot. Oh, I don't really like this one. I remember this one kind of bugs me for some reason. Oh well. It's not terrible. I just prefer the ones that like magnetically snap in.
Okay, so we'll make up our box that our detector is going to go on. We're going to use one of these boxes where you install it. You install it like this, you poke it up, and then once you turn the screws, these wings pop out. I don't typically like them in drop ceilings because the tiles aren't that strong, but a smoke detector is quite light. You could use the actual T-bar boxes, but then they make it a pain to remove a tile should you need to. And I don't have a ton of space up there, so this will be fine. So we need a 5 conductor wire for our detector because it's a class A loop. Okay, I have the old detector removed, so now I just have to bring our new fire alarm cable going to our new box into the old box and splice the SLC in. So I'll show you all that. I'll first wire in to our old box. I'll put our fire alarm cable into a Lumex connector. Okay, this is one side of the SLC. This is another side of the SLC. Doesn't matter which one is coming in or not because they both essentially are the same thing. Both can become the in feed. Like right now, both of these are both going back to the panel because it's a class A loop and it's opened up right now, but I haven't lost, like the panel is still reading every single device, obviously except for this one point because it's a class A loop. So we'll put one red to that red. And a black to that black, and then these two are separate. I'm putting blue to red here because my system was wired wrong like probably 3-4 years ago with blue as positive, but realistically blue should be negative and brown should be positive. This is basically just reversed, which as long as you keep it all the same consistency with this system, it's fine. You just have to remember that that's how it's been done. Okay, I've got a junction box cover on there. Now we just have to wire up our smoke detector. Okay, blue and red are positive, so put those onto our SLC positive. Can put our detector head back up. Beautiful.
Okay, detector is up there. It's a distance away from the sprinkler head, probably 2 feet away, so that shouldn't impede the flow too much. It's not like it's an object like an exit sign sticking way down, but if it's like right beside it, you know, that could decrease the spread. SLC open faults don't self-restore like a missing device, like an invalid reply. As soon as you put it back up, it's happy. Okay, we've got to cut this one out here for our sprinkler head. So we got to get some measurements here. So to the center of the sprinkler head, we are 11 1/4 from that side. And and 11 1/8. 11 1/4. 11 1/4 that way. And 11 1/8 that way. Oops. So that should be X marks the spot. I know it's quite hard to see, but we can double check. We should be 11 1/4 that way. Bang on. And 11 1/8 that way. Beautiful. I will jab a screwdriver through to the front. There you go. Change our hole saw to, I believe, a 2-inch. Finger off the trigger when you're doing this. You should actually probably take out the battery. That's 2-inch right there. Let's just double check though. Here is one of the sprinkler things. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. You notice that I did the tile backside down, like how it will be hung from the ceiling too. So we did if we did it flat, front side up, everything would be backwards. However, we don't want a whole bunch of blowout. So I'm not going to drill from this side. I'm going to drill from the other side. That's the whole reason I punched this hole through. We are going to shut off our sprinkler system. Some of you will say I should just do a proper drain, maybe, but for the amount of time I have to do this, this is fine. Yeah, that really wasn't that bad now, was it? So we are depressurized, and we can take the sprinkler head down. Wrong way. Notice I positioned my ladder. Well, I guess you can't see it.
positioned my ladder right under so I could put my bucket. Shot that across the room. Okay, I can thread that onto our sprinkler head. Wrap a little bit more Teflon tape on there. Okay, that's probably enough. It already had someone from before. So we'll put it up there, and I put this all the way down to the sprinkler head. I can't remember. One of these sprinkler heads was off. Like, it was like almost too far off for this, but it should still be fine. So we'll have to see if this works. I think I've gone about this in the wrong way. That explains why I couldn't find my piece. It was on top of the ceiling. Ah! That works nicely, actually. I think that looks quite good. I say while the sprinkler stuff is still all shut off, I do this other sprinkler head right here instead of turning it all back on just to turn it off again. So we'll start off by measuring once again. Okay, we are looking at 3 7/8 off of there, and 10 3/4. 10 3/4, 3 7/8. That was 10 3/4 and 3 7/8, which puts us right here. I do want to double check how our height is looking on this one. Yeah, see, this is what I was saying. This one's kind of sticking down a little bit too low. So that inner piece that threads on, I'm not going to thread it all the way down to the bottom to where it stops. I'll stop about halfway, since this doesn't thread up into this connector all the way anyways. It's not going to affect anything. But if I I did have it go down all the way, it would make for a not quite as nice appearance. Oh my god, some of these are tight. Holy crap. Who put this thing up? Holy crap, they were strong. Oh right, that was me. Jeez. I didn't thread it on this tight. Did it get tighter? What the heck was with that? Okay, so this is what I was talking about with this piece here. I'm not going to thread it on all the way. You can see it and feel it. That's where it stops threading in up top, so there's no point of going any further down the sprinkler head. Okay, I learned my lesson last time. I'm going to put the tile up first. That'd be nice if this would stop dumping water sometime soon. Don't want to get the tile too soaking wet. Okay, I don't know why there keeps being so much water, but know what I'll do? I'll just thread the sprinkler head in as far as it will go and then turn this ring back until it hits. That way we know we have the sprinkler fully tightened and it's not getting hung up on that other ring thing. Alright, that's as good as that's gonna get. I know this one doesn't look quite as good because it kind of sticks out too far, but it's the best I can do here. Guess it's not terrible. Yeah, this one doesn't look great. It kind of needs too far out of the ceiling. But it would be a lot of work to change it, so it'll have to do. All right, we can turn the sprinkler water back on. All right, now we'll just watch for any leaks. Notice anything missing? Yeah, I removed the exit sign and I have put a blank junction box cover where the exit sign used to sit. So we are ready to fill that 2x2 hole with tile. Well, this is where we're at. I have one more tile to cut down into 2 tiles, and then I'm 1 2x2 tile short. So I'll show you what I mean here. So you can see pretty much most of the tiles are now in the ceiling. And I have 1 tile left right here. So that 1 tile can do, say, this opening and this opening, but then I need another half a tile for right there. So I'll try and get one from somewhere because I don't want to have to buy a whole nother box of them just for half a tile. So we'll see. Anyways, you can see that we have pretty much the whole entire ceiling done. I have this end piece all done up over here. So So this is how we are looking. I think it looks pretty good. Not perfect, could have done better. It's my first time. Next ceiling I do will look better. Anyways guys, I think that about does it for this drop ceiling installation video. I know this has been a long video, quite a long video, but I didn't really want to break it down into multiple parts because then that just wastes more time doing intros and stuff, and I find people just start questioning when the next one's coming out. So if I don't have to, I try and do them all in one video. Anyways guys, if you did enjoy it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to put those down in the comment section down below the video. And if you like my videos, make sure to subscribe. Also, I have an Instagram account at Pickle700. I post stuff on there, bonus stuff on there, stuff before you'd see it on the YouTube channel, that sort of thing. So if you're interested, feel free to check that out. Thanks for watching.